laws in North Carolina regarding stopping a vehicle for a motor vehicle violation or suspicion of driving while impaired are pretty complicated, to be frank. There are different standards where the courts will review the facts and the circumstances of the case. In the most basic terms, there is something you may have heard of before called reasonable suspicion. Now, reasonable suspicion has traditionally been something that involved an officer observing some activity. It doesn't necessarily break the law, but it is suspicious, and to use the term of art, or the term that the courts use, is reasonably suspicious that criminal activity is afoot. That's somewhat complicated, but maybe a good example would be weaving within your lane of travel, or going substantially below the speed limit, or driving around with your blinker on and you're not really turning. Those may be suspicious activities of impaired driving. Now, probable cause was the term that we used where if you broke the law, whether it was a minor infraction or a criminal citation, you actually sped above the speed limit, you actually crossed the center line, or you drove recklessly. When the officer had probable cause or saw one of those events, they could pull you over for no other reason other than that. Now, the law became blurred within the last few years when the courts somewhat got rid of that delineation or that distinction. Now everything is versed in the term of reasonable suspicion. So the courts review two things. First, if you break the law or you break a citation, clearly a police officer can pull you over. If there's something else going on where you've not broken the law, the officer is going to have to present sufficient facts in courts to convince a judge that it was suspicious, or the manner in which you were driving was suspicious. It's very complicated, and I encourage you to come in and talk to me, and we'll go over the individual facts of your case to determine what standard we're actually applying in court, what standard is actually appropriate for your individual case.